Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Woo! Let's go!
Welcome to Krush House. I'm your host, Wayne Allyn, the CEO of VegasWinners.com, and the man the media calls the king of Vegas sports gambling and America's odds maker. I'm the only sports handicapper in the world with a 180-pound granite star on the Las Vegas Walk of Stars. How cool is that? My company, Vegas Winners, sponsors the Krush House series, which includes this podcast, Krush House, as well as Krush House Cappers for the hardcore gamblers out there, and Krush House Legends. Whether you love sports or sports legends or sports gambling, we've got it covered for you. I want to remind you to go to VegasWinners.com right after this podcast ends for one of my world-famous games of the year. Just register. It's simple, it's easy, it takes 1 minute or less, and you automatically receive $1,000 in free coupons, which you can apply to my game of the year. And you also get 5,000 reward points, which can be converted into gifts and prizes with our state-of-the-art cryptocurrency reward system. It's all at VegasWinners.com. Later in the show, I'll be back with my Football Insider segment with former NFL quarterback and Canadian Football League champion Sean Salisbury to bring you insights on the NFL and valuable point spread advice for all the sports gamblers out there. But right now, I'll throw it to my main men, Frank and Sean. See you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Wayne. Hey, everybody. I'm Frank Nicotero, and the calendar tells me it's fall outside, but here inside the Krush House, we still have the AC cranked on high because we have another hot show. Later, Wayne Allyn will be back to talk some NFL and how you can get some free winners this weekend. And here also in the Krush Crib, as always, the sizzling Sean Salisbury, who is also winning more than Ted Lasso at the Emmys. And speaking of lovable characters like Ted Lasso from the sports world today, we have a very special guest, Pro Bowl quarterback and Rams legend, Jim Everett. Sean and Jim, you guys go way back when you were both coming out of high school, ready to go to college. Is that how you guys met? How'd you guys meet?
Jim and I have known each other a long time, from then to combine camp to playing in the league. One big difference. Pro Bowler, great player. Talk about great players. There you go. My man.
Hey, that's not true. Coming out of high school, Sean Salisbury's name, everyone wanted to know where Sean's going. Where's Sean? There was another guy, I forgot what his name, he went to Florida. But I don't
Was
know
it Fred Buckley? No,
yeah, it was Buckley. That's it.
Was it Buckley? Jim?
It was Buckley. Yeah. So anyways, we go way back, and then followed his career. It was fabulous. You know what pans out? I mean, we're all not Tom Brady, for God's sake, Sean.
Yeah, you could say that again for me, Jim. But what a great career, Jim. Let me start with this real quick with you. A guy like Sam Darnold. The game is so tough. You watched him go from a bad team to a good team. How much does coaching have in it, like you saw last night? Or was there a time when you said, "Man, Darnold just throws the ball to the other team"? What's your thoughts on that progression?
Well, there's no doubt that a guy can get discouraged. I love Sam Darnold, and I know they got down on him, but it's a team sport, and I think that's what people sometimes don't realize. I know when I came to the Rams, when I got traded, I came to an older team, a more established team. They had guys like Eric Dickerson, Housel. They had all-pro offensive linemen. That's a little different when you get inserted into that situation than, say, Troy Aikman going to Dallas when they're in a total rebuild and they go 1-15. They could have thrown Troy Aikman under the bus, but he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold is Troy Aikman, but you got to give yourself some weapons. Look at Tom Brady moving around the league. Why is he moving around the league from New England down to Tampa? Because he has weapons. He's not a fool. If you don't have weapons, I look at Jared Goff over in Detroit. I don't see the weapons, but I see all of a sudden you take the same quarterback, Matthew Stafford, you bring him to the Rams. He's got weapons. There's a correlation there, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Yes, but my problem is you could have given me weapons and I still would have fucked it up. So there you go.
That's not true.
Of course, Sean had to talk about Sam Darnold immediately last night because he's a USC Trojan. But we do like Sam Darnold. And you did predict a big year for him down there, Sean. And last night, look, he looked good. He had another 300 yards. He ran for touch. I mean, the guy looked good. But what about this turf monster down there? I mean, they lose McCaffrey and they lose Horn. I mean, is the turf monster real down there? You're in Houston. Is it the field down there, or what happened with these guys?
Watch it. Now, it's sad too because that team's a playoff team.
Yeah.
And somebody had asked me that same question on Twitter earlier today. Honest to God, like it's 3:30 this morning before my radio show, And I said, well, I know everybody wants to play on grass. Jimmy will probably validate that. None of us like to fall on concrete on the field. But I shredded my knee on grass without being hit a second time. The first time I got hit, the second time I shredded everyone. I put my foot in the ground. It got caught and shredded it. So sometimes luck is a bad thing, and sometimes it works in your favor. And last night for Carolina, a win, but it was costly, that's for sure. Which leads me, Jim, to you. Yep. What would you do in a game like today? How good would you be with the way the rules are set up? Take your weapons in Los Angeles and play today. The truth. You don't get to be humble right here, my man. I know how humble you are. You don't get to be humble with this answer.
It would be sick. I mean, it's almost like you're pitching on the mound. And, I love sitting in that pocket and throwing it. And now, you're only going to get hit in the body. You're not getting your head taken off. You're not getting your knees taken out. It would be fun. The receivers, throwing over the middle, you're not having to throw them down low so they don't get their head taken off. They can't hit them in the head anymore. Defenseless receivers. I love the rules. Don't get me wrong. I love the game for wide open offense, but man, it would just be sick. I thought the same thing about guys like Dan Marino and stuff like that. It'd be filthy. I mean, it'd be fun as heck. But that was the game. The game we played in was take us out. And that was the game, and the NFL changed that because I think after all these body parts that they're having to pay for.
Hey, that's the truth.
Yeah. And, to tag on to that, Jim, this is very relevant to today's game and what Sean just said. I'm still shocked at Flipper Anderson's record. Now, Flipper Anderson has the NFL record, 15 catches, 336 yards. Now, in today's game, is that going to get broke? First of all, you're the one who threw all the yards to him, which is an amazing NFL record. But in today's game, Tyreek Hill, is someone going to break this record with the way offenses are now? And by the way, you got to tell me that game must have been just so surreal to have a guy catch for 336 yards. My God.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And the thing is, the first half, I think they had 6 sacks against us. So, I mean, it was kind of one of those games. And I think the record at someday will be broken, but it will be more than 15 catches that someone does it. It'll be 20 or whatever it might be, overtime game that someone, gets 22, 23 catches. But I can't believe the record's still out there. Frank, going back to your first thing, the injury bug that goes through teams is a thing that is hard to guess, and that's why I think Sean McVay tries to not get guys injured in the preseason. But if you get the injury bug that hits your team, man, it'll affect you, and it'll knock teams out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, the Ravens somehow are overcoming that. I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's dressing in a phone booth right now. Jim, you know what? You and I we've never talked about this, and I've always wondered how it bothers you or if it follows. I know when things that followed me around. You had such a great career, and people still want to talk about the Rome Everett thing. Yeah. But you got such a great sense of humor, plus 6'5", 230 against him. It wouldn't have been a very fair match, but I like your style, brother.
It wasn't then either.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jim, it's not controversial, but you kind of rub things off and blow things off. Does people still talk about that with you in airports and in interviews? Do people still want to know about that? And what was said pre-production?
Oh, it goes on today. I mean, I had a place down in San Clemente. I was down there, and I had a bunch of 18-year-olds come over to my house. I mean, a whole group of them, like from the college. And I'm like, you guys are too young to know me playing football. They're like, no. We're from the media class, and we watched your video, and we know you. We want to meet you. So this thing expands beyond just leather balls, dude. But it was. I look at it as, yeah, we were young. The production meeting, Sean, you asked me what were they going to say before. They said they were going to touch on it, and then we're going to move on. At the time, I had just moved down to New Orleans looking for a fresh start.
Right.
I get all the hype, but at the time, people don't realize the media from the 80s to the 90s changed quite a bit. There was a lot more competition. There was a lot more. The shock value thing was brand new, and this was shock value maybe taken just a little bit too far. And I think he realized it. I realized it. I look back on it and say, I don't need to do that stuff, but. He went a little too far, and that's just two young guys doing young things.
And you know what I would do, Jim, now if I was an advertising agency and it happened today? You guys, you'd be making about $25 million off the commercial, brother, and we'd get paid. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to get him to do something, but he won't do it. He keeps denying it.
Well, no, wait a second. I read that in 2012, a large burger franchise, you got to tell us which one, wanted to use that footage in an ad. You agreed, but Rome didn't.
I agreed. I'm like, it was Carl's Jr. And I was ready to go. And I've got some other ideas that hopefully we can come out and also get Chris Everett involved. But anyways, I think it should be.
Dude, that would be, Jim, and you know what? Well, hey, crap happens. We all get emotional. Water under the bridge.
Right.
Why not, hey, flip it and turn it into a positive so the next 30 years they're talking about, man, did you see that commercial and all the money they made doing that? It would be awesome.
Well, it's life, and and that's the thing we look at it. And the thing I look at is that things happen to you in your life, good, bad, and different. It's how you react to them. It's how you get back up and on your feet. Same for Jim. Same for Sean. Even in our careers, we throw a pick, you get right back up, and that's what I tell our viewers right now is stuff happens. That's life. It's a 4-letter word. Get your ass back up and get going.
Let me ask you this before you go, my man. And I miss you and I love you, and it seems like all these years nothing changes. We can still have the same laughs and same conversation. That's good friendship. What do you miss most about the day-to-day thing in football?
Oh, I miss the camaraderie. I miss the locker room. I mean, I've got kids now, got a fiance. I pull the same jokes to them. They just don't go off as good, But, the camaraderie where we just I listened to Rob Gronkowski the other day. He took that sabbatical year and came back, and they were asking him what he meant. He missed, just joking with the guys, doing the stuff. I miss all that, but I love the game. I still do. I still watch it avidly. Still go up to the Rams fan. I'm going to be at the Tampa Bay game. And all the Rams fans, I want you to be loud. Let's go!
Yeah.
There you go. And by the way, you met some lady that's willing to get married to your dumb ass and your crazy ass? You lied to somebody to get married to you, brother?
Jim, congratulations on being inducted into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Does Purdue cover 11 against Illinois this week?
Yes.
Boom. There you go.
I like it.
Everett.
Jimmy, I love you, brother. Thanks so much, man.
Wow, that was Jim Everett. I loved watching Jim Everett play. A girl I went to high school with, she went to Purdue, and I watched a ton of Purdue games. That was fantastic to be able to talk to him.
It's always great to see guys that you for years, and it's nothing changed. Hell, he looks the same as he did. Honestly, he looks great, and it's always great to run into it. Some of the stories, we try. He's right. The dad jokes, they don't work on the kids like they used to work on us. But so honored to have him on. He's such a great guy, man. So I'm glad you got a chance to visit with him.
I love that he told us Carl's Jr. was the burger chain. That one
Superstar with cheese.
Yeah, Jim, allow the footage. Come on, Rome. Come on. Rack it. So I had the last thing I asked him was about Purdue minus 11 against Illini. Illini start against that. Maybe Nebraska's awful. They beat Nebraska. They've lost 3 straight. Purdue hung with Notre Dame. So I just wanted to bring that up because, we had Jim on. But I don't know. Purdue minus 11, they probably should cover that game. I don't know, man. Illini, whew.
Yeah, they too much. Purdue will have a little bit too much offense for them this week. I agree with Jim. Purdue puts it on them this week, but that's not my picks of the week. So you go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's get into college ball now. I want to just go back last week. I said since Rashad Jennings was on the show, Liberty has covered all 3 games. Last week they won 45-17. The spread was 27.5. You said good luck with those 4 touchdowns. They covered by a half point.
Take it any way you can get it, brother. Way to go. Keep riding that horse, man. Let's go.
Yeah, and they play tonight, Friday. They're favored by 6.5 over Syracuse. Did you ever think there'd be a day where Liberty would be favored over Syracuse? Anyway,
that head coach is good, man. I'm telling you. Hugh Freeze can coach some football now.
I'm going to take Liberty. All right, but let's talk about your college picks. I was watching Cappers with Wayne earlier. All the guys are big on Wisconsin. That line looks weird. Minus 6.5 over Notre Dame, who's higher rated and undefeated. Neutral site in Chicago. Is this one of your games? Do you like Wisconsin? Do you like Notre Dame?
If I was going to bet, and I still don't know if I'm taking, this isn't mine. I got a couple games. This isn't the one.
Okay, good.
But I was talking to somebody this morning. I like Wisconsin too. And I know, and even this morning on my show was talking about it, and I forgot it was in Soldier Field, right? Instead of in Wisconsin. And I don't give a shit, right. Frank. I think that Wisconsin's physically. I actually, and listen, I have so much respect for the Fighting Irish. I do. Big Brian Kelly fan. At about 3 or 4 games into it, you start to know who a team is. I think they may be a little bit overrated where their ranking is. I think Wisconsin can play with him. And now this is obviously for Cohn, the quarterback, going back, playing against the team where he left to go to Notre Dame. I think it's a hell of a matchup. There's a reason it's like this. And they're begging you to go get Notre Dame. I know it's in Chicago. Notre Dame travels well. I like Wisconsin. Yeah. I do. I think Wisconsin's going to win a football game, and I think they're going to take care of their business. Are you putting this one on your docket? I'll tell you one that is on my docket, and you go back to Wisconsin, is the over in the Texas Tech game. Take a look at the over, Texas Tech, and everybody wants overs. But Texas finally hit stride with Casey Thompson at quarterback last week against and the three Robinsons. It's like Robinson scoring touchdowns, and Steve Sarkisian starting to get into a rhythm. And the Big 12 don't play any defense. You and I both know that. Take the over, might reach that damn thing by halftime. That's one of my big picks this week, and I got the over.
Okay,
and I'm on a friggin'
62,
roll.
by the way.
What's that?
It's 62.
Yeah,
62
it was at 61 and a half earlier or something, I think, 62. To me, it's a no-brainer pick. I like that one. That's one of my big ones. So you doing the Wisconsin Notre Dame thing?
I hadn't really looked at that game, but after listening to the Cappers, I mean, these guys, they broke down the numbers. I think Notre Dame's 80th in defense, where Wisconsin's like 2 or 3. I mean, they had all good reasons. All of them, including Wayne. All 4 Cappers love Wisconsin. So how can you argue with the boss, right?
Agreed. 100%.
But you like the over in the Texas Tech game, and what's your other pick?
I got 2 of them. And 2 overs. The one more game. The Georgia State. Now, I want you to keep an eye also as a dog pick this week. Texas San Antonio. I've talked to you about that pick earlier. I'm just. And
they won outright. We took them.
Keep an eye on them as a dog, taking care of their business in that game. And I'll tell you another one is the Georgia State Auburn game.
Okay, Auburn coming off a lot. Right?
Give everybody track shoes, brother, because that thing's going through the roof points wise. Georgia State and Auburn for me. I'm telling you, we got 2 games this week, and like I said, I know everybody. This has nothing to do with the fact that I'm an over guy, because a lot of times I think the over's overrated. I'm taking the over in both of mine, the Tech and Texas game in Austin and the Georgia State Auburn game. And to me, it feels like I need to go even bigger on the over in the Georgia State Auburn game in a big way. I like that over as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing the line at about 57 right there. All right, I love talking college, but we're going to hear about some pro football action with Wayne, Allyn, Root, and Sean talking about pros, and of course the big Ram-Tampa Bay game. So here's Wayne and Sean.
All right, this is my favorite segment of the week. I get to hang out with Sean Salisbury, talk a little NFL football. I've loved football since I was 5 years old. I was the world's biggest Dallas Cowboy fan. I loved Rodgers, Staubach, and Craig Morton, and Dandy Don Meredith, and later on, Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. I love the quarterbacks. I love the Cowboys. But I'm with a great quarterback, Sean Salisbury. Good to be with you again, brother.
Wayne, great to be with you, man. I love this week. I love this Friday. I always love joining you, man. Thank you.
All right, so you and I together like brother from another mother every Friday. So, listen, we're going to talk about the Rams game. Rams taking on Tampa Bay and Big Bad Tom Brady, Super Bowl champions, already off to a 2-0 start. In my next podcast, we've got a Legends podcast. I'll be interviewing Jim Everett, one of the great quarterbacks for the LA Rams. So we kind of celebrated with a little Rams talk here. So tell me what the Rams have to do to beat Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champions.
Well, first off, when you have Jim on, you're going to get one of the great throwers and great dudes on the planet. I'm so excited for you to get a chance to be with him today, and I love it. Jimmy and I are about the same age and came out the same time, and he had about a 50 times better career than I did, but it'll be a treat for you to talk to him. This game this weekend, this is playoff Super Bowl atmosphere, Wayne. You know this, and I know how important it is, the Rams for you. You love this team, and I had Tampa going to the Super Bowl, so something's got to give this week. I think the biggest key in this game for me is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defend the run so well. And they were the best in the league last year. Can they make the Rams one-dimensional? And if they do, then you put it on Stafford. You hope you get a little pressure, a tip ball interception. This is a phenomenal quarterback matchup. And another thing, Brady, if there is anything that Brady hasn't done better than anybody else in the world, is teams that rush 4, pressure a guy with 3 or 4 players without blitzing. And the Rams are really good at it. He's had most of his trouble against teams that play a lot of zone, and they won't blitz a lot if they can get pressure. So on the defensive side, putting Brady on his rear end and his ass will be number one. Number two is making sure you take those receivers off their mark, but you have got to run the football, at least the threat of it a little bit, so you don't make yourself one-dimensional. Tampa's going to focus on that. If you make it one-dimensional, it falls on Stafford's shoulders. This is going to be a great friggin' football game.
Oh, great game. And it's shocking to me. I never thought I'd see a Super Bowl champion that returns 22 starters. It's stunning. I don't know how. First of all, I can't figure out, how did they afford it? When I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I always base everything on my team. No one knows the Cowboys better than me, right? I study them all day, every day. You can't keep everyone from your team last year when you pay the best guys with a new contract. You reward them with a new contract this year. So they gave Dak this giant contract. What was it, $160 million, whatever the number was. You can't keep everybody, so they let guys go. How did Tampa Bay keep everybody? How is that possible? I don't get it.
Well, first off, the window's short because you keep these guys, eventually it's going to break up. A brilliant capologist, the quarterback who doesn't have to be the highest paid guy in the world, and that's Brady. He's always allowed you to not have to pay him the most to free up money to go get Antonio Brown, to go grab Rob Gronkowski again and bring him back. This team now, eventually, like I said, eventually it catches up to you. But, man, they got one last year, and they got this all 22. I can guarantee you all 22 aren't going to be back next year. That's why you capitalize on the window, and they have, because everybody eventually wants to get paid. But the whole key here is Tom Brady doesn't have to make $50 million a year. He's never asked to be the highest paid player, not only in the league. He should be making $100 million a year for the value he brings. But that's why Brady understands the difference. Winning championships to him, the money will come. He doesn't need to be the highest paid player. His ego and pride are aside where other guys want to get theirs, and I understand it, but they're wearing far less rings than Brady is, and it'll be the same this year. They're the favorite. They're the best team in football.
It's a great point, and it obviously works. I mean, he's got 7 Super Bowl rings. He's made, 10 appearances in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Nobody else has been anything close. So he realized you don't have to be the highest paid player. You just want to win the most jewelry,
right.
And therefore you make up all that money in endorsement deals, right? That's got to be his theory,
He's
right?
doing a lot of them right now, too. More commercials than we've ever thought Tom would do. He never did many early. His focus. Now he's got a big old smile on his face. Other than Shaq, Brady might be doing more commercials than anybody right now. It's good to see, and he looks like he's having a damn blast playing, too.
And he still looks great, man. That's a handsome, cool-looking dude at 44 years old? I think 44.
44.
Can he play to 50? That's the last question I want to ask you about quarterbacks. Is that even remotely possible, even with Brady?
Well, I'm not going to ever say he can't do anything. I think he'd be out of his friggin' mind if he tried to. But with him, I actually think he'll play this year if he wins. Maybe give it one more, get to 45, play his 45th season, and then eventually say, I'm going to go watch my kids play and have a good time. But I don't know, man. This guy likes to win, and if he's having fun, they'd have to drag me off the field if I was that good. But 8 Super Bowl rings, if he can win another one, it may be time. But don't put anything by him because he still takes care of his body. And the guy you'll talk to later on, Jim Everett, when your legs are there, you can still play the game. And Tom's legs are still there. When you lose the legs, you go. I guarantee you he'll get out of the league before we start to see a downfall. He won't let that happen to him.
I see 2 more seasons. A great guy can always,
Agreed.
the great ones could always find a way to motivate themselves. And so if he loses this year and they have a bad, underperforming year, he's got to come back to erase that, right, and go out at a winning image. And if he has a great year and they win the Super Bowl, he has to come back because he could be a three-peat. I'm trying to think. Nobody's ever three-peated in the NFL, right? Never, right?
Not
Nobody.
in a row. I don't think anybody's done it in a row. I think there's been plenty that, like Pittsburgh, I think, has been to 2 or 3 in a row. We obviously saw Buffalo get to 4 in a row and not win it. So that would be pretty impressive to get to 3 and win them all. It'd be like NBA. I mean, you're now become the Lakers and Celtics type team.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable what he's doing.
Little bit of trivia. In the 1990s, the Lakers won 2 in a row. And I filed with the trademark office, Wayne Root, filed for three-peat, that it was my name. And guess who filed at the same time as me? Pat Riley. And they gave it to Pat Riley. We filed at the same time, and they gave it to Pat Riley. They took it away from me. Pissed me off. All right. Let's talk about quarterbacks, because that's the topic of the day. We got you. We got Jim Everett coming up on deck. You get to pick one quarterback for your team. If you were the general manager or the coach, Sean Salisbury is the leader of the team. who's the one quarterback other than Mahomes? Everyone's going to pick Mahomes. Other than Mahomes, who would you pick for the next 10 years to win?
Brady? No, I'm kidding. He's 54. This is a tough one because I can't wait to hear what Jim Everett says about this later on, because we are so deep at the starting quarterback position with young. You think about Lamar and Kyler Murray, and there's Russ Wilson. He's not got 10 years in him. Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield. We see these young guys like Mac Jones. I mean, we are friggin' loaded at this damn position. For me, just judging from what I see now, you take age into it. I don't know what's going to happen to Deshaun Watson because he's one hell of a football player. But that one we'll put aside because he's not playing this year. You know what? For my money, and I think Kyler Murray is going to be an MVP guy, but I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I think his body can handle the punishment. I think he's well coached, and now they're starting to build something around him. He started off a little slow this year, but what's not to like? He's improved every year. He's got confidence. He's got a big, strong arm, but accurate, far more accurate than people thought when he was coming out of school. For the next decade, till their mid-30s, I'd probably say it was him since I don't get Mahomes. But I'll tell you what, there's 3 or 4 guys that if you gave me the option, you took him away, I'd say I can live with that because we got a group of studs. But I'd probably go with Josh Allen now because the body type, and he can move and sit in the pocket, and he's well coached, and I love his offensive coordinator. Josh Allen today would be my choice.
Yeah, and he's a great choice, but you named the 2 who I think I would pick. I mean, I love Dak, but I think I'd pick either Kyler Murray or I'd take Baker Mayfield. I think Baker, this early in his career, has proven that over the next 10 years he's going to be a superstar. And I think Cleveland has a great shot at the Super Bowl this year with Baker Mayfield. I love his energy. I love the fist pumps and the bravado and the braggadocio and all that other stuff that comes along with his kind of confidence / arrogance. I think Baker's going to make a great quarterback in the NFL.
He's got balls that hang down to about his ankles, like the balls of a burglar, man. This dude, he loves to play, too. And they're loaded on the roster, so we'll see. Can he take the punishment and keep going? I mean, can Cleveland keep this, the roster and the building and Kevin Stefanski? So I like continuity, and if they can, I'm with you. I don't think they're going far. And Kyler Murray, it just continues to step up his game, and the more he goes. In December, we'll be talking about him in the MVP race as well.
How do you scheme for Kyler Murray? I mean, it's impossible.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's impossible. All right, last question of the day. Your guarantee of the week. This has become our famous last question each week with Sean Salisbury. Your guarantee of the week in the NFL.
I like the Raiders this week, but my guarantee of the week is Russ Wilson and Seattle going on the road at Minnesota. They're, I think, 1.5 favorites in Minnesota. I don't trust Minnesota to close games. I just don't. They'll put up Xbox and Sony PlayStation numbers, and you'll throw the fucking control against the wall by the time the game's over at the end, whether it's a missed field goal or a missed tackle. And they got dominated in a run game last week, did Seattle. They were embarrassed by Derrick Henry. Now they go on the road, and they are a really good road team. Russ Wilson's not going to lose 2 in a row. And Dalvin Cook's a little banged up. I would look for some turnovers on defense, and I would look for Seattle to make more plays. My guarantee of the week last week was Aaron Rodgers and the Packers after he came off a bad one. Russ Wilson gets even. The defense plays better, and they take on Minnesota and win this one by more than a field goal.
And by the way, what's wrong with your quarterback in Minnesota? Why doesn't he have the ability to win games? He seems like a good quarterback. He was great with the Redskins, but he's never fulfilled his promise since coming to Minnesota.
Puts up numbers, Wayne. He does. There's something missing, and I can't wait to hear what Jim says about that, Everett, too, because some guys just have the ability to close when they're playing a shitty game, and some guys can play great for 3.5 quarters and just can't quite close it out. And while I like Kirk Cousins, and he'll put up numbers, he always does, but he's never going to put a ring on his finger. He just doesn't have, in my opinion, and it's not personal, I don't think he has the closing DNA, and Russ Wilson will prove that again next week, or this weekend, should I say.
Great stuff from Sean, and let me mention at the end of this interview, just if you want to come back to VegasWinners.com and get some fantastic advice, my record in the NFL this season, all documented, by the way, every pick I make is sent to an independent documentation service, and I've started out the year 12-4, 16 NFL picks, 12 winners, about 75% winners to start the season. Last year was the greatest run of my life. It's not like this happens all the time. I won 10 of the last 11 weeks in the NFL. This year I've won the first 2 weeks, so I've won 12 of the last 13 weeks going back to last year in the NFL. It's one hell of a streak, and my picks during that streak, 22-8. 22 winners, 8 losers against the point spread. I've got an NFL Game of the Year right now at Vegas Winners. You register right now. It takes 1 minute. You get $1,000 in free coupons that you could apply to that Game of the Year or anything else you want on the menu at vegaswinners.com. So go check it out. And as always, thank you, Sean, for a great segment, great knowledge, great insights. You the man.
You are the best. And what did Randy Moss say with all those picks you make? Straight cash, homie. Keep making them that money, brother. I'll talk to you next Friday.
Yes, you remember Al Davis said, just win, baby. I've come up with my own. Mine is just beat the spread, baby.
There
We'll see you
go.
next week.
All right, bud. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so I'm in LA, all right? Now, I'm thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool to go see this game you guys were just talking about, the Rams hosting the Super Bowl champ Buccaneers? Tickets online are going for like $2,000, and I'm talking shitty seats. Like, the demand for this game is ridiculous. I mean, this is the high-profile game of the week, and I don't think it's going to disappoint. I think it's going to be a tremendous. And I like the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams as home dogs.
Frankie, do they know who you are?
I don't,
do they have any fucking idea
know.
what the Krush House means? Okay.
If I wear this shirt, I'm going
You're in, brother. Free. Sideline pass. Sideline pass. I'm going opposite of you, just on a straight pick.
All right.
I like the I think Tampa Bay wins this game. I think the difference is I don't know if the Rams can make Tampa Bay one-dimensional. I think Tampa Bay can make the Rams one-dimensional. I don't know how you run the football against Tampa. I don't. I don't. Now, Stafford's good. If Matt Stafford was playing against an average quarterback in this game, it'd be one thing. But we got two teams that I think have been the odds-on favorite in the NFC to represent Super Bowl. So we're getting an early taste of this, right? I personally think that Brady, who's had some trouble, I've mentioned against some zone teams. I don't want to get into all that. But for me, if Stafford has to throw a lot all the time and it's just him trying to win it, tip balls happen. Things like that happen. I actually think that the Rams, while it'll be close and probably higher scoring than we may think, I think it's going to be the Buccaneers defense that makes the difference, and Brady will finish the way he's supposed to. And I like Tampa, and I think it's a field goal or better.
Yeah, and this game is 55.5. I think it might even be
Which is
the
high in the
highest
NFL, right, Frank? Yeah.
That's super high, especially with Tampa's defense and the Rams, overall number one defense.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, 55 points, but it's going to be a hell of a ball game. I get to watch the Steeler game early, and then I get to watch that game
Great
late.
Sunday for you, bud. Great Sunday.
It is a big Sunday. The Steelers, though, now we got to talk about this. Your team growing up was the Raiders. My team, obviously, is the Steelers. Yep. Not a good game last week. Derek Carr looked fucking great.
Yeah,
man.
he did. He's playing. Talk about. I think the 3 MVPs at this point in time are Brady, Kyler Murray, and Derek Carr. I do. Let me ask you this, Frankie, because I obviously I'm a Raider. I'm still treading lightly because I want to make sure their defense holds up and this continues. I trust Carr. I got to make sure that I can trust him when they run into a Kansas City Charger type thing with that offense, right? But let me ask you: are you concerned about Ben Roethlisberger?
Absolutely. It's, and going into the season, we knew the offensive line was going to be an issue. Basically DeCastro and he retires and Pouncey, and they bring in Trey Turner, and they're bringing in guys. It's patchwork right now. And when you got a 38, 39-year-old quarterback with those knees and limited mobility, I mean, Ben's leading the league again, I think, in the quickest drop back pass. That's not a stat you want to lead the league in, right? I mean, that means you're dropping back and you're hitting short passes because he doesn't have the time to throw deep. Now, he did throw deep to Claypool a few times, and, he's just not getting that time. Max Crosby was all in his face. He got hit 10 times. I am a little concerned, and I think game 3 for a lot of teams is the barometer of their season, right? Because, everyone's 1-1. There's parity in the NFL, few undefeated teams. We have Cincinnati coming to Pittsburgh. Joe Burrow, I mean, they're not the Bungles anymore. This looks like a good team.
Right.
I think Burrow is the guy. When you guys are talking about a quarterback you want for the next 10 years, you guys didn't mention Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you're leaving those guys out. It's a good point by you because I think Joe Burrow, if they build a team around him, is a full-grown man. And Frank, you mentioned about your Steelers is that they're over the last handful of years, it's been great defense, and now with the with T.J. Watt a little banged up, great defense, and then knock you around. And Ben, right? I mean, passing and getting it going used to be where they run it and physical. Then it got to where Ben's passing and defense. Now the question I'm trying to figure out, and you hit it perfect. First month, we know the identity. I still think they're trying to find the identity. It may have to be Najee Harris in a hurry offensively.
Well, listen, so Sean, I want to point out that Sean is undefeated on our show. So in the pros, you like Tampa Bay. I'm going against you with the Rams.
My favorite pick of the week is Seattle going to Minnesota. That's my number one pick on the road, 1.5-point favorites. I think they're not going to get run over like they did last week by a Derrick Henry.
By the way, when I went out, the late game, I went out, Seattle was up. I went, the Seahawks are going to win. I came back, I'm like, wait, how? The Titans
They ran into an
What
18-wheel truck named Derrick Henry, my man.
He's unbelievable. All right, so you like Seattle, you like Tampa Bay. I like the Rams, and, I am an over sucker. Chargers-Chiefs, I think, could be a shootout. I'm going to take the over. Why not? So I'm an over sucker. Well, listen, if you want more free winners, you guys just got to just click on vegaswinners.com, Wayne Allyn Root, all his handicappers there. You can start an account. It's really simple. It's really fast. You get free winners, but you're getting free winners from Sean Salisbury, too, my God.
And Frank, we're on a roll, brother. And I assure you, you and I will be talking over the weekend. I promise you.
All right, and tonight I'm going to watch Liberty, see if Liberty can cover 6.5 against Syracuse.
You're going to be the athletic director there. You keep picking them, brother.
It's Rashad Jennings, baby. All right, enjoy your football this weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. We appreciate you always watching the Krush House. Go to vegaswinners.com. I'm going to put my helmet on again. Let's see if I can look somewhat. There's a piece of plastic in here.
I'm going to say, you must have a big head if that thing doesn't fit. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go. Oh, ow! Ow!
Go ahead, brother. Show it to me. Show it to me.
This is why I was going to put on the Najee Harris helmet.
Thank you.
Look,
I like it.
I look like John Beebe, don't I? I look like John Beebe with this thing on.